like
that.
I don't want to waste our idle chit chat, right?
No. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Between the Pond and the Hard Place. I am a ghost face.
And I'm Chris Kirkpatrick.
Um, yeah, so I like watching TV. I'm not going to do this the whole show. I thought about it, but I was like, no. So let me
You got to
take this
commit.
off.
You got to commit. Oh my gosh, you didn't last. I thought you'd last longer than that.
I mean, it's funny, but it gets hot after about 15 minutes. I was wearing that like 5 minutes before we connected on here, so.
All right, got to
getting
say, so you were. I know that you're going to be Ghostface for Halloween. My wife surprised me with my Halloween costume. Came into my bedroom, and on my bed there was a Harry Potter robe.
Okay.
So for Gryffindor, and then a pair of black glasses. And then I just came home and found this box lying out here. And what is in the box but this,
Nice.
which is Dumbledore's wand. So, yeah, pretty cool when, without even talking to me, my wife chooses the coolest Halloween costume. I get to be Harry Potter. I think I might have gotten a little bit more excited about that than than I should have, but you know, I don't think anybody's that surprised.
It's still pretty cool, though. I mean, I come home and surprise myself with the fact that I've bought like almost $400 worth of action figures, and I'm like,
Right.
if I hadn't bought all of these, I could have. I was talking to my mom earlier on the phone. I was like, if I didn't buy all these, I could have made the trip out there already. I was like, let me think about that. Maybe not buy action figures. Because I'm waiting to do the live from Hollywood. It's Between a Pot and a Hard Place and then like have all these people walk by. Like, there's Spider-Man back there. Spider-Man, come here. I don't know. But our good friend Lee Newton is actually she's still in Hollywood, but she made a trip out to California this week.
I think the easier question would be, where isn't Lee Newton? I feel
Right.
like she is. I think she's driving up and down the California coastline. One of the days that she was there, she had checked in over at Morro Bay, which is one of those spots. My family and I took a vacation there, and it's gorgeous. Huge, giant rock out in the middle of the bay, kind of a really small town feel. But yeah, she's been. I don't know how she hooked that up, but she's
I
taking
know.
the vacation of all vacations. But she had a birthday, didn't she?
She did. I believe it's today or
Okay.
yesterday. So, and I sent her wishes on Facebook, but I want to say, if she ever watches this, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Lee.
You know, you're going to go and play at the Grand Ole Opry one day. And, but remember, when you walk through Hollywood, you're going to have a star right there one day too. Both of those things are going to happen. Maybe in the same day. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, Lee's been a longtime friend of our podcast, and you know,
Corey.
I know that Corey had asked if Jill is Hermione. She is not. I don't think she is.
Maybe not. Maybe she has her own wand somewhere, and she's got her own spells, and then. But yeah,
Actually, I think Jill is the Mad Hatter this year.
Okay. I really don't know what I'm going to be. I'm thinking about going as Ghostface. I just got the cheap mask. I was like, this is fun. Yay. I really bought it just to do that little bit coming in. I'm like, that's the entire reason I wanted to buy it. And we took the week off last week.
It was definitely worth it. But I want to address the action figures versus coming out to California thing. There's got to be some happy medium where you still get action figures that you love.
Yeah.
Like that. And at the same time, you can still go and do stuff that you want to do.
Yeah, I think I've kind of started finding that. It's some of these figures I started buying all of them. I was like, oh, there's one, there's one, there's one. I would carry like 4 of them up to the front. Like, I'm going to buy all of these. Maybe now just buy 1 instead of 4 or 5.
Yeah.
This is a cool one. It's like, this is a new one that they just made. And it kind of is made in the style of like the old 80s toys, where it's like a solid rubber, no joints that bend, nothing like that. But at first I was like, I don't need that. But then it was the last one of a series, and I was like, okay, I have to buy it to complete that. And then I got it home and out of the box, and I was like, I almost thought it was a Stretch Armstrong. I'm like, come on. But no.
Right, you're gonna break it the minute you bring it home. No,
Yeah.
I feel like I need to like hold you down and give you an intervention.
I think I might need one. I mean, some of the wrestling figures, I don't know what it is. It's very nostalgic. Even though these characters are new, they're not characters from my childhood. They're new characters on TV today. But some of these come with little championship belts, and they're so neat. And I'm just like, I have to collect all these figures for these little belts. And I do. I have a problem, I think, with collecting action figures. And then I bought a Loki. I should have brought Loki out to have him be on the show today. Didn't think about it.
Next time.
Maybe next time. Loki's off time varianting somewhere. I don't know. It'd be awesome if Loki showed up on the Flash, but I don't think they're going to do that.
That'd be a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
I would expect Loki more on something like DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
Or I was going to say or Titans, but all these shows we're mentioning are DC. I'm like, they're not going to show up on any of those.
No.
It's possible.
No.
That is something I would love to see, like as far as like a what if kind of thing.
Well, we've been talking a lot in our group about different what if scenarios. Like, what if Superman had the shield of Captain America and the hammer of Thor, right? I mean, mind you, Superman's already overpowered as it is. Giving him those 2 items just kind of makes him god level. But what if?
Yeah, a Facebook user, which is somebody watching right now on our Facebook group, the Between a Pot and a Hard Place group, says they have done that, and I'm guessing they mean the crossover with DC and Marvel. Which I would love to see that in a live action or even an animated on What If or something like What If.
Yeah, I've seen them do it before. That'd be cool. And then I think the other crossover that people were interested in was with Darth Vader. Darth Vader and Superman.
That chat in the group is really interesting, as I was commenting just before the show too, about how the magic would kind of maybe weaken Superman, or maybe not weaken him, but the Force powers being magic. And then someone mentioned, oh, he would just hit Vader with the heat vision. But then I was thinking, like, could Vader go and stop the heat vision dead in its tracks and make it turn around and hit Superman? I don't know. Like,
yeah, I mean, we've certainly seen people that wield the Force be able to do incredible things, right? Somebody has said, well, Vader could just Force choke Superman, but Superman literally has an indestructible windpipe. How do you strangulate Superman?
Because like the Jedi mind tricks wouldn't work. Like, you want to die, I want to die. Like it wouldn't work. Darth Vader would be more likely to be in a House of Mouse film. That's true. I would love to see Darth Vader versus Mickey. Like, Mouse, you will die. Oh, you'll never kill me, Vader. Oh. I mean, that would be great.
That would be a very short battle, I think.
Or just have Vader come in and like force choke Steamboat Willie from like the very first Disney animation.
That's evil. That's evil.
Well, Darth Vader's not exactly a good guy. So
No, but I mean, you're like plotting to kill, Mickey Mouse.
I mean, I don't know. I really wish Mickey Mouse could get to the public domain so I could write my own Mickey Mouse stories, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. Anytime it gets close, they rewrite the rules. And Disney, it's got that Disney money. They're like, oh, here, let's make it to where we can still own Mickey Mouse for like 1,000 more years.
So you brought up What If, and I think that gosh, hasn't this been like the last 2 episodes of What If were just if we were trying to figure out where exactly they were going with that entire story, um, the way that they were able to kind of bring it all together, pretty amazing, right?
It is like the first. How many episodes were there? 9 or 8, I think 8. Either way, like the first before the last 2, I was like, oh, each one is its own independent story. They don't connect.
That's what I was thinking too.
And then we were all talking about like a couple of weeks ago on the show. I think we mentioned like it'd be so cool. I believe Corey commented saying, "Oh, they need to have a season 2 to have continuations of these and this." And then boom, the last 2 episodes, especially the finale, connected everything together.
It
And
really
it made
did.
so much more sense.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I was so happy that they connected it all together because it would have been kind of disappointing had it just been one more like, and that was the story of What If. Good night, everyone. I'm going to watch Disney now. La 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 la.
I mean, I think that we've been watching and seeing the layers of storytelling that the MCU's been doing for a while. I knew there had to be something beyond just telling these creative stories of what might happen in the multiverse. What we ended up getting was a really good take on what they did in DC with Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? Just like with the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor, and bringing in the heroes from throughout the different Earths. They did exactly the same thing in What If. But I loved it, right? Like, what characters were you kind of excited to see come back?
I mean, I really loved Thor's stuff in the finale. I
Right.
think Chris Hemsworth is just hilarious as he is, and the fact that he voiced Thor yet again, which is great. I don't know what it was, but at the very end of the fight, well, at the end of what we thought was the end of the fight, he's like, "Oh, is that it? Is it done? What is it? Oh, okay." And all of a sudden, no, it's not over yet. And then you see, what's his name? Not Black Panther, but the other guy.
He's Killmonger.
Killmonger, yeah. Why could I not think of that?
Yeah.
You see him like with this armor, like absorb it and then like have all the stones, and he's like, ha ha ha, I'm actually still a bad guy. I'm gonna kill you all. And then of course that doesn't happen. But still, that was amazing. I was like, no, he doesn't. No, he can't do that. And we almost forget, like the whole time, I think we might have mentioned it. We think, oh, when we see I keep wanting to call him Vision, but it is oh gosh, I'm forgetting name. Yes. We see him with the with all the stones, and we're like, wait a minute, it's kind of like a plot hole, because like the stones aren't supposed to work in other Earths or other universes. And at the end, they think they destroy the stones, and they're like, oh wait, this machine was only designed to work on my universe. And then boom, here's the stones back. I'm like, yes, good. I didn't want them to throw away that whole rule of like, right. Oh, let's forget that happened in Loki. Let's just pretend like this. So, I mean, that was really cool because I forgot.
It was the twist. I mean, I think that, there was that moment where you're like, why would they bring, of all the people to choose on this thing, why Killmonger? Killmonger really served the same purpose that Lex Luthor did in Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? That he was the element that you knew was going to stab you in the back, right? But he was also the one that you could trust, who was going to serve himself in the long run.
And they definitely needed him.
Yeah, the Watcher chose him because he knew that he would be a good distraction for Ultron. It would give them enough time for their plan to work. I thought some really, really good honorable mentions in What If. Really love Agent Carter.
Yeah.
I thought she was great.
Gosh, who else? Doctor Strange was great because he still had that like evil, tired, worn down, like broken look to him. So I'm glad they kept the continuity going with the past episodes and bringing it all together. But I didn't realize I knew how strong he was and how powerful he was, but at the end, it was like, you didn't really need any of the other characters. You could have just had Strange fighting, like, all right, well, because he was pretty much protecting everybody while blasting and doing all this stuff. And at the end of it, they finally defeat him and everything. But you think for a minute they're not going to. You think for a minute that Ultron's going to win. And I really was hoping for, when they released the zombies to like kind of run after him or whatever, I was really hoping to see the big zombie wasp come back and like kind of run at him. But we didn't really see that. But still, I loved that whole last episode. And I still can't get over how great the animation is. I swear, I still feel like they filmed it live action and animated frame by frame over the live action or at least have done some kind of motion capture animation where they have motion capture sensors on the actors' faces or something like that. I don't know. Same with CGI effects for like the Hulk and things like that.
I mean, they did such a brilliant job with it. I think that the way that, being that we know that at least in our universe, Black Widow is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of getting to see her a little bit more on the screen, animated or otherwise, that was a great moment. And then kind of the same thing with Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
And his Black Panther, right? That we still get as him and as Star-Lord. I think that was great just to kind of get one last glimpse of him with his own voice and his own recording.
And it was really cool how, Peter Quill was there, and you see, oh gosh, I forgot his name again. Yondu, the actor, Michael Rooker. You see him like, and his voice is there, and it's like, yes. And then you see Peter there, and it's like, oh, and here comes the other Star-Lord, the new Star-Lord, and they see them together for a minute, and you're like, oh, that's great. He's still wearing his little like burger outfit and stuff. I don't know. It was just funny to see him again. And I don't know if Chris Pratt voiced the character. I think he did in What If. I don't know, because he was only on there like twice, 2 little appearances. But a lot of the stars did voice the characters, and a lot didn't. The guy that did Tony Stark's voice was pretty good, I thought. Pretty matched up pretty well. Same with Peter Parker. When we saw that episode, it matched pretty well with Tom Holland, I thought. Thankfully, there was no animated Topher Grace Venom.
No. There was some talk about the person who voices Ultron not being the same person.
Yeah, I mentioned that I really would love to have heard James Spader's voice as Ultron, or even had the actor playing Vision do the voice. One of the two. I think being the evil version and being Ultron, even though he was in that more organic form, I thought James Spader's voice would be great. I mean, I'm a big fan of The Office, and like they had 9 seasons, I think. Yeah. Season 8, one of the last seasons of The Office, James Spader played like the boss character for the entire season. And he's just so good.
Yeah.
Like he like, even though it was a scripted TV show, The Office, I kind of was scared of his character. I was like, I wouldn't want to make him mad. Like, it was just the way he looks, and just tilts his head, twists his head, looks, squints. Like, it's so great. And I saw his face every time I heard Ultron talk in that movie.
It makes me wonder whether it was an intentional decision to not use him. Like, the Ultron that we see in What If is sort of like a fusion combination, both of Vision as well as Ultron, and so he's something else. And of course, he's going to sound different.
Yeah.
Or whether James Spader just wasn't available.
I would guess he probably wasn't available or had no interest. One of the two. I don't think there's any bad blood between James Spader and Marvel. I mean, they gave him an entire movie. It would have been really cool to see Mickey Rourke's character come back for What If, because I think he did a great job with Iron Man. A lot of people say like they hated that character, they hated that movie. Like, I think that was Iron Man 3, I want to say, or was it 2? I can't remember. It's been so long. But I don't know. I really liked What If overall. I think they did a great job. If I could only complain about one thing, I would wish that there were more episodes.
Yeah.
Instead of just 8 or 9, I would have hoped for 12 or 13. But usually these short run series like this usually go between 8 and 10 episodes.
I think what they've done a really smart job in the MCU of doing is giving us a really tightly controlled story where you have a very clear beginning, a very definite middle, and a fantastic end. right?
Yeah.
It's not like one of those series that goes on for 15 seasons that should have ended, 7 years ago.
Like Supernatural, and everybody's like, "I hate you. That was so good."
I know I get hate for that, and it certainly had some great moments,
Yeah.
but that's the problem. There's no way in 15 years that every single episode is going to be good, right? You're
Mhm.
gonna have entire seasons that you could take out and you wouldn't even miss it.
That's like Smallville. I'm one of the biggest Smallville fans. When we talked to Jordan Elsass a while back, he was like, "I love Smallville," and I'm like, "Dude, you were a baby when that show came on."
Right.
But
Right.
I think you like with that show, you can go season 4 and 5, maybe even 6, just kick those away, and okay, fine.
Yeah. So I think that in some ways there's a real wisdom in what the MCU is doing with all of their shows, whether it's WandaVision, whether it's Falcon and the Winter Soldier, whether it's with What If, that by keeping it short, it keeps the action tight.
Mhm.
They're able to tell a very cohesive story without going completely off the rails.
Less is definitely more.
It is.
I mean, it's nice to see more. Now, if you could do 12 episodes and they all be phenomenal and still have that tight story, then great. But it's hard to do that in 12, either 12 30-minute episodes or 12 hour-long episodes. It's still hard to tell that story.
Right.
Because, you only need certain steps to get to the point from a point A to point B. I mean, you don't really need to take extra steps. So it's kind of like walking up a set of stairs. Like, why would you want to walk more? It's like, let me do 2 or 3 steps instead of 6.
Right. Now that What If is over, which episodes are kind of like standouts?
First, I want to pop up Corey's question here because he said, could the Watcher put Doctor Strange into Black Widow's universe and use his time stone to turn back time to before Ultron was online and stop it? Now, this is a time travel question, so we're going to be here for the next 45 years talking about it. I don't know if that would work, honestly. I don't know. It could. What if?
I think we know that this is not, what is it? Back to the Future is bullshit, right? We know that according to MCU rules of time travel, that you can't just go back into the past and change an event, right? Going back in the past and changing an event doesn't change your future. It merely creates another branch in the timeline, and so it doesn't necessarily solve the problem. I wish it would.
I mean, it would solve the problem for that new universe they created by going back.
Right.
Because it would happen in that one timeline. I still hate the fact that they do that. That they say, you can't change the future by going into the past. Like, why? You're wrong.
It would only bother me, though. I mean, though I've got a preference of the kind of time travel. I like the idea that if I go back into the past, I can change my present.
Yeah.
And ultimately, my future.
That's
I like that whole idea of time travel. What good is it to go back in the past if I can't change anything?
I mean, it would be cool to sit in the bushes and watch things, but
right.
Kind of like Marty's dad from Back to the Future 1. He's watching with binoculars in the trees.
Right.
I don't know if I would be doing that.
I think the one benefit, though, is in the MCU version of time travel, you don't have to worry about stepping on butterflies.
No butterfly man.
That you don't have to, right? If changing the past doesn't change your present, then you could screw up the past and it's not going to affect your present. It might totally screw up an alternate reality.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not going to see the effects of it where you are. Maybe that's a jacked up logic.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing, what I will give the MCU credit for is they've at least committed 100% to it, right? They're not like, they're not like one day it's this way and then they change it halfway through.
Although I kind of wish sometimes that maybe with Spider-Man No Way Home, they come out and say, okay, we were wrong. Yeah, time does have effects on other time. And just commit to that moving forward. I would be okay if they flipped once, but they couldn't go back and forth and do different rules for different.
So you want them to do a time travel retcon? Is what you want?
Sort of, only because I love so much how I've been watching Heroes nonstop. Well, I stopped obviously to do this and go to work today, but I'm almost at the end of season 4, and I just love Hero so much. I was trying to learn a Japanese phrase before coming on tonight so that I could say it in Japanese, but then I was like, I'm not going to memorize a line in like 30 minutes. So, but yeah, that show is amazing, and people give so much hate to that show after season 2, and I'm just like, 3 is so good, and 4 is a different kind of feeling because they're not trying to save anybody; they're just trying to stop somebody. They're like, who was this Samuel guy? Let's stop him. And then Hero, his brain is all scrambled. Like, we must save Watson. Oh, no, it's the Stormtroopers. And they're just like orderlies at a mental hospital. And it's like, that's fun and everything. But it does kind of like not go downhill, but it does. It's more exciting in the first season. It really is.
I think that what you bring up with Heroes is the same thing we've been talking about with What If, right? That there are clearly high points for the entire show, and there are some really, really low points. And then we have to remember that Heroes took place during that writer's strike, where much like the pandemic, everything just kind of fell apart.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. There are moments in Heroes that don't really seem like they're needed. Like there's that one kid, I think his name was Jeremy. It was like I want to say season 3, where he was a healer, but he accidentally killed his parents. And Noah and Tracy tried to save him from going to prison forever, and they got him a new identity, all this. And then he goes out and then freaks out and kills like that one sheriff guy or whatever. And then of course, the other cops drag him to death on the car. And I'm just like, that's brutal. Yeah. They're like, we could have saved him. It's like, what was the entire purpose of any of that? It seemed irrelevant to the overall story. I get why they wanted to see him and get him, because he's a healer. He could heal Hero. That's what they were trying to do. But then to kill him, it's like, okay, well, why did you not let him live long enough to save Hero and then kill him? Like, I don't know. It just seems like they could have gone through from point A to point B without that moment.
I think that they knew ultimately that they were going to have Hero be healed by his mother, and they wanted us to feel like hopeless. Oh, he's dead. Who's going to do it now? So I thought it was clever, and at the same time they were able to deal with this level of fear and hatred of people who were different, right?
Mm-hmm.
That this kid gets lynched.
It was crazy, and the fact that they even did that was, even for that time. I think that was, I don't know what year that was, like 2009, maybe 10, something like that. And it's like, wow, even for that time, it was like, that's pushing it. Like, that's pretty edgy. And
yeah, it was pretty brutal.
It's such a good show, though. And I really like the carnival stuff. I really like Samuel and all those characters, and how like the knife dude, Edgar. I keep forgetting that he was an actual, just a speedster. But he only really used the speed mostly for knives, like to cut people. Which is cool, because you don't think about him as a speedster until he runs away to other places.
It's one of those things we don't think about a whole lot, that if you had super speed, if you knew some type of martial art, for example, right? Imagine how quickly you'd be able to throw punches or kicks or holds, right? I mean, and if you were to include weapons like he did, how dangerous. I mean, you'd be like a solid shooter. You just would be lopping people's heads off before they realized it.
It'd be a really good ability to be a hibachi chef.
Right. Right.
They're like, are you going to flip the shrimp or not? And then it's like in their plates already. They're like, oh, that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, Heroes, I don't want to like derail the whole show and be like, that's Heroes Hour. But it's just a really good show.
I know we didn't talk at all about we were going to bring up Heroes, but I feel like, this podcast owes a lot of its development and creation, I think, because of that show. Yeah. For whatever it is, warts and all, Heroes was really the first show that got you and I talking. And
right? Heroes Reborn kind of pushed it further. Because I think I joined the group, the Heroes Facebook group, initially because of Heroes Reborn. I think it was coming out, and I was watching the old ones and excited about the new one, and started joining the group to talk about it. And then kind of.
I could have sworn that you were in the original group.
I might have been actually. It's been so long. It's been almost 10 years, I think, and I think
Right. Well, that's why I think that you were in the original group because Heroes Reborn would have been quite a bit later.
I believe that was 2014 or 2015 when that show came out. So maybe it was. Maybe I was on that group a little bit before. And then once I think what it was is when Reborn finished, we were like, now what do we talk about? You're like, I like Arrow. I'm like, I've never seen it. And then now we're where we're at.
Yeah. What's crazy is that Arrow just celebrated it's been 9 years.
Yeah.
Since Arrow episode 1, season 1 was released. And you think about the kind of the legacy of Arrow.
Yeah, I mean, that show, even though it's been over for nearly 2 years now, I think close to 2 years, I guess. Well, no, or was it? It was 2019 when it ended. So yeah, I guess so. You still think about it, and I miss it. So when this is one of the topics we wanted to talk about tonight, and I think it's a good transition when I saw Heels being advertised, I was like, ooh, it's Stephen Amell, which already know I like his acting, so
yeah,
cool. And it's about wrestling, which I like. So it's like Green Arrow and wrestling, and it's like, oh, okay. But it's not really Green Arrow and wrestling because that he doesn't have bow and arrow or anything, but still. I love that show.
I think people that know Stephen Amell know that he's done a number of exhibitions in professional wrestling.
Yes.
Even while he was Green Arrow.
Mm-hmm. They actually referred to the show a lot. His first time he teamed up with someone and they did like a tag team thing, and he hadn't really been involved with wrestling that much at that point. So he did a little bit. He like jumped off the top and like did some dives, things like that. And they were like, it's the Green Arrow versus this guy. And they were like calling him the Green Arrow, Stephen Amell. And it was really cool. It was like a double promotion kind of thing. But to find out that he was involved with the show, and he's not the head of the show or the showrunner, but I think he's like a producer and the lead. So good. And I found out who the showrunner really was. And a lot of people were going to be like, who's that based on the name? But Michael Malley. And I don't know if you remember that name. I remember that name from being a kid and watching Nickelodeon game shows, because Michael Malley was the host of, I think it was called Guts, where they had to like do the little, almost like Olympics and then climb the mountain at the end.
Okay.
He was a Nickelodeon game show host, and now he's like the showrunner for this wrestling show that's starring Stephen Amell. I'm like, what?
That's cool.
And he also plays a villain, or I guess a nemesis character in the show as well. Guts. Yeah, Corey's like, Guts. See? Corey remembers. Remember Michael Malley, don't you? Yeah. He was on a couple of Nickelodeon shows, but yeah, and that's such a good show. I just watched the finale tonight. And now I'm excited.
I feel bad. I've only watched the first 3 episodes.
There's only, I believe, 8 episodes. So you've watched half the season. Basically.
Yeah. That said, I really like what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
You watch it first because of Stephen Amell, because he's great. I didn't know a whole lot about kind of the backstage stuff that takes place.
Yeah.
I didn't know about a heel or an ace. For people that are not familiar with it, right? If you're an ace, you're sort of like the hero. You're the good guy character. If you're a heel, you're the bad guy.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like,
yeah,
I mean, it's not really. Some people complain, like the big wrestling fans, sometimes on the comments online complain that there's not enough wrestling. They don't focus enough on the wrestlers. It's just his family, and that's the drama. That's the show. It's a story about 2 brothers and the struggle and a small town, and then you're like, oh wait, there is wrestling in this show. And I don't know, the whole package, the whole show is great. I kind of like how it wrapped up. I'm not going to say too much because I know you're watching it, but it definitely made me want more, and kind of irritated me that it was the end. I'm just like, what happens next?
Yeah.
It's one of those moments that you think something else is about to happen, and then nothing else happens.
Yeah, I think that's great though. If you watch a season and it ends and it's answered all your questions, there's no need for you to watch it when it comes back. But if it leaves you wanting more, I think it's done its job. I think that what is kind of cool.
Oh, Corey pointed out too that Michael O'Malley was good in the show Yes Dear.
Okay,
and, I forgot about that show.
I think what's great about Heels and what I like about it is wrestling is fake, right? They know that what's taking place on that stage, it's not real. But what happens on that stage has very real consequences for all the characters, right? It ends up, working itself out in the relationship between the brothers and the family and in the entire community, right?
Yeah, I mean it's and it really shows kind of how like a small community can gather around one thing, like wrestling in this case, and I kind of relate to that because I didn't grow up in such a small town like that, but it's small in comparison to like New York or something. And wrestling was huge in the South when I grew up, so Georgia is not too far away from North Carolina, so I kind of felt like I've lived in that show, but not from that point of view, but like going to these local little shows and having something like, yeah, did you go last week? Like just the drama behind it too is relatable. It's like,
I remember Corey and I growing up, we were in Portland, but I remember, mid to late 80s, early 90s, still being really into professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And we followed it, we watched it really closely. I think that in many ways this show kind of brings back some of that nostalgia for me. Though I haven't watched it in decades, it still reminds me. Yeah, we were I think what we were really, it was really big for us. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Macho Man Randy Savage, Andre the Giant. Undertaker. Those were kind of the people that were really big. Sting, Hulk Hogan. Those were
Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Randy Savage. I remember those very well. It's funny, that reminds me of a meme I saw the other day. I wish I had it here to show people, but it was if you remember those guys, you'll remember Bobby the Brain Heenan, who was like one of the best like managers of all like time. He was like the bad guy. He was like annoying and everything. And there was a meme of him standing. I believe it was Bobby the Brain Heenan. It could have been somebody else, but I think it was him and Andre the Giant. And everybody knows Andre the Giant was like 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
But they face swapped them. So Andre the Giant was like this little short man in a suit, and then the other guy was like huge, and it was funny. I don't know. But they mentioned those characters, like those legends and stuff in Heels. They kind of referred to those characters and say, "Oh yeah, I am no Hulk Hogan or whatever." Little things like that, and I like that little touch. And I love how they tell the story because I've been a huge fan of professional wrestling since I was a kid, and I've kind of fallen out of it a little bit. More recently, I've gotten more into it when I bought all these action figures, but I watch old classic videos and things like that a lot from when I was a kid and remembering and that nostalgia behind it. And so the little twists that they do in wrestling where you think they're going to do one thing, you're like, see, because I used to sit like here with my dad watching wrestling, and I wasn't really that much into it anymore, but he liked watching it, but we kind of sat to just critique it and make fun of it. Like, because you would see the punches sometimes, and you would see like they would come like this, nowhere near the face, and he'd go, ow, and it's like you clearly see like he missed him by that much, and we would just point out those little things, but we always thought it was predictable. Like, oh look, he's gonna grab that chair, he's gonna hit him, then he's gonna get up and hit him with a stick, and like that exact thing happens, and then. What Heels does in a lot of cases is sometimes you think something's going to happen, then they go, oh no, and then they do something else. And that's what I love about it. It kind of ties into wrestling. Wrestling is so predictable up to a point, and then just when you think they're going to do the next thing, they do something else. And that's what I love about that show, because they got people that really knew about wrestling and how the storylines work and how to write it, how to make people feel those emotions and go on that roller coaster. And it's not just a show like I am a wrestler, and then they don't show anything about wrestling. They just mention it, and that's it. They really kind of go into that world.
It really does make you feel like they're pulling back the curtain and revealing some of the secrets.
For sure. I'm watching the finale. I'm like, I want to go to this show, like the actual wrestling show, and watch these matches. But I'm like, they're not really wrestling. But it looks so good. And I really hope Stephen Amell gets into wrestling a little bit more after the show. Like, oh, let's just do not a season, but a couple of wrestling matches again. Like, just do that while you're not recording anything. Because if you do break your leg, you don't have to worry about ruining a show.
Right.
You could just heal up and then go back to season 2 of Heels. Or
I'm sure it would be really good PR for him if he did that.
Corey's mentioning a bunch of these great names, like Sergeant Slaughter and Jake the Snake Roberts. Awesome. Who leaves a bunch of steel folding chairs around a wrestling ring? Where's OSHA? That is a very good point. Even when I was a kid at like 10 years old, I'm like, okay, so under this wrestling ring, they put all these chairs and all these like hammers and different weapons and stuff. And then as soon as they pull one out to use it, the referees and all these people are like, no, you can't use that. That's illegal. Stop it. It's like, if you didn't want them to use it, why did you all put them under there to make them find them and then use it? Like, why?
I really felt like the referees are the most useless people, in professional wrestling. They don't really do anything. It's not like anybody has ever stopped because of one of the referees.
Like, you better stop. No. Punch, and then they stop the match, whatever. But then, like, as far as the real life element, of course, they're there to kind of set the pace and all that stuff.
Right.
But still, I mean, character wise, it's like you're right. Like, they don't really follow the rules. They get poked in the eye. Oh, I can't see, and then they hit them with a chair. Then they wake up like, oh, you're okay. Like, immediately after, like, the thing they're not supposed to see happens. But yeah, now it's the wrestling show here Between a Point and a Hard Place. But no, Heels is great. So anybody that hasn't seen Heels, I know Stars is offering like a free trial right now. So if somebody were to sign up for that, you can watch. You have it for 7 days. It's a 7-day trial. I hate when they do that. Give you 1 week. Give me like 2 weeks at least, please. But yeah, you can binge watch that entire show, 1 episode a day. Well, you'll have to watch like 2 episodes in 1 day, but still. You could get it all done.
I mean, tomorrow is Indigenous Peoples Day, so I could sign up for Stars and binge it all tomorrow, and then cancel it. So
yeah, that's what I did. I subscribed to it and then like watched as much as I could and then like stopped it and stuff like that. I do that a lot with services. I used to. I think one time I went for like a year, not a year, but like 2 months without like actually paying for Netflix. Back when you could just create a different email address and have another free trial. They've gotten a little bit wise to some of those things now, I think. But
yeah, it used to be that you could, they would drop the entire season on there, and you could binge it all in a week and then cancel. And they realized real fast that people would do that, and so they only release a couple at a time.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Plus, it keeps the show from, even if, you do like watching that way. I love binging stuff. I like watching 4 or 5 episodes. I'll do that with Heroes. I'll watch 2 or 3 at least every day. But then again, like on a show on a streaming service, like a Netflix or a Disney Plus or whatever, you watch everything and then you're like, damn it, I want to watch another one.
Right.
And you can't. So you either watch the same ones again or you go back to old shows like I did with Heroes. But we could talk about Stargirl too, because we haven't talked about that in a while. We were out last week.
Yeah,
I love where that show's going.
You know what? I felt like when season 2 began, I thought it was kind of slow going.
Yeah, it was called Summer School. It's like, oh no, this is gonna be lame.
Right. But I really do feel like ever since that showdown at the school between the new ISA and the new JSA, right? That epic smackdown, and ultimately all of that was set up to release Eclipso from the stone. I feel like we've gotten this massive. We've just realized just how terribly powerful Eclipso is, how dangerous he is.
Yeah, and that whole scene, I might have mentioned it before, but it had such Cobra Kai vibes, but super powered Cobra Kai. It takes me back to that show where they had that big epic fight in the school, but this was so much. It was badass because they had powers, and it was like, oh, who's gonna? You literally didn't know who was gonna win and everything. And Eclipso coming out, and I was so impressed when they finally showed us the full character.
Yeah,
I was like, it's the Hobgoblin. But honestly, though, it's amazing. I was like, holy crap. And he keeps coming back. I'm just like, ooh.
he really well. And a lot of the problem is that as powerful as they are, nobody really has an ability that can stop him. Right?
Right.
There is no member of the team that has a telepathic ability. Right? So they can't challenge him, mind to mind. If Dr. Fate was there, right, he might be helpful. Magic would be
But
helpful.
I think Pat referenced him, didn't he, at one point, where how even Dr. Fate couldn't help stop Eclipso. But who knows? Corey has a really good point, or a good question. Can Grundy be controlled by Eclipso, and can Eclipso possess Grundy? That is a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, because if he did,
well, we know that Grundy was certainly underneath mental manipulation from Brainwave, right?
yeah,
That they certainly, so if he's able to be controlled mentally by Brainwave, I'm certain that Eclipso could mess with him just as easily as he's messed with everybody else.
I would say so. Or unless maybe his mind has gotten stronger now because of what he went through with Brainwave. But still, we know it's possible. How likely it is to happen, who knows? But and with Grundy, and I that kind of, it's a good point that I'm glad Corey mentioned that, because we saw how Grundy was there and killed a little girl and all that stuff. It gave me so many like Frankenstein vibes.
Yeah.
The Twix commercial, I remember they did like a parody of it where like they had Frankenstein and the little girl, and you're like, no. But then she breaks a Twix piece off and gives him the piece. Or maybe it was Kit Kat, I don't know. But yeah, that's what I think they did that on purpose too. Like this misunderstood monster just killed this little girl, but we find out it was just Eclipso the whole time, and it
Right.
actually happened.
Well, and that we find there's Rick, who he's been trying to, encourage some humanity out and develop a friendship with Grundy, and he realizes he thinks that Grundy was the one that had killed this girl, and goes after him, beats the crap out of him, only to find out that Eclipso had tricked him into beating up is it his uncle?
I think it's his uncle, or yeah, I believe it is.
Mind you, his uncle deserved it. That guy was a jerk.
He almost killed him.
Yeah, almost killed him. But that had not been his intent, right? He thought that he was getting justice for a murdered girl. And I think that's what we've realized here is just how clever, just how manipulative, just how powerful Eclipso is. I know that in the most recent episode, what Eclipso did to Pat and to Mike and to Court's mom.
Yeah. He's the thing about the Grundy thing is like, I wondered if it was Rick's uncle at the lake looking at the dead girl, or if Grundy was really there and he was like, oh no, this dead girl. And then Rick assumed Grundy killed him, and then Grundy runs off. And then as he's chasing him, then Eclipso is like, okay, now I want to make you see him again, but it wasn't really him. I don't know. I like the fact that I don't know, because you're like, was it his uncle the whole time? Or was Grundy really there at some point? Or did Eclipso make him see the entire thing? Was Grundy never there and the girl was never there? The girl was there because I think Pat and everyone else saw it too. But I don't know. I really love that power, because it's like you can see something on the show from their point of view and think, is this real or not? Are they really seeing this, or is it just a vision?
Right. I think that what was great in the whole thing was just seeing even the subtlety of Eclipso. You would expect that somebody with rather godlike powers might flex those muscles, right? But what Eclipso really enjoys is doing like small little things and letting people, tear each other apart, right? That's what we see with Pat and Court and Mike and the family is um, is the distrust kind of causing them to fight each other.
Yeah.
Eclipso, that's what made Eclipso laugh, was that
Mhm.
his schemes and his tricks are working, and we've already seen it, right? Rick's in jail.
Yeah.
Yolanda has given up being Wildcat. Uh, the family's fighting with each other. Eclipso's winning,
Yes,
and
big time.
I think that in the last episode, number one, that was the episode that I had been really excited for because we've known from the very beginning that John Wesley Shipp himself would be reprising the role of the Flash.
Yeah.
Uh,
Which
but the Golden Age Jay Garrick, um, what we didn't know was whether this was um, a different version or whether it was the same one. And as
yeah.
we've had verified, this version of Jay Garrick, this Flash is the same Jay Garrick that we know on Earth Prime.
Yeah, and that's confusing because the whole time I thought that. And then but logic told me no, there's no way. And everybody else told me no, there's no way.
Well,
Because it
and
doesn't make sense.
see, and if you're asking for it to make sense, that's your
It
first
won't.
mistake.
It won't.
Remember that when Oliver Queen reset the multiverse, right? When he recreated everything post Crisis, he changed all the rules. And all the stuff, much like Flashpoint, all the rules that were in place prior to that were retconned and they no longer mattered. It's the same problem that I had in Superman and Lois, where one day Superman and Lois have a newborn son,
Yeah.
and then after Crisis, now it's twins, and then instantaneously now they've got high school age teenagers,
Yeah.
right? It's the same sort of thing. It shouldn't happen, but it does, and they just expect us to accept it.
The one thing that kind of throws a hiccup, and we've talked about this, is how, Jay Garrick is on Earth Prime right now. Well, not right now, but you know what I mean, in the current seasons, in the current continuity. And we're like, wait a minute, how? But then I really think it's just the fact that like he escaped to Earth Prime somehow, and I don't know. I don't know how he got there physically, or if Jay knows there's a multiverse and nobody else on the Flash knows this yet, but he does, and he just went to Earth Prime to live there. And it makes you wonder: is Jay going to come back to help stop Eclipso? And is that going to cross over at all and be referenced at all in the Flash? Because the Flash comes back next month.
Yeah,
And which doesn't seem like it's been off that long. Legends of Tomorrow, I know you haven't really kept up with that show lately, but they had the finale just like a few weeks ago. And they're already starting to show new episodes, I think, this week or next week. It's like they really didn't waste any time getting to the next season.
No.
But I'm excited to see this new beginning or this new season. To see, number one, is Flash over? Is this the last season? Number two, what kind of this? There's going to be that big crossover, but it's going to be a 5-episode, all contained on the Flash only. But there are going to be other characters. We're going to see Brandon Routh come back as Ray Palmer, the Atom. Finally, he's going to come back and do an episode. But we're also, from what I've seen, we're going to see Ryan Choi finally come back.
Which,
and we're going to see him.
You know what that means, right? Is that
there's going to be a passing.
Yeah, Ryan Choi is going to take over the mantle of being the Atom.
Which is going to be such a bittersweet moment, too, because you're like, yay, Ray Palmer's back. Oh, he's gone again.
Yeah, and I wonder if we're only going to see him just long enough for him to, transfer the suit over to Ryan Choi. Yeah.
I do know they have a different suit for Ryan Choi. I've seen an image of it. And it seems to be pretty comic accurate, I guess. But it's cool that they're actually doing something with him finally.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to lose Ray Palmer, it makes sense to give Ryan Choi, like, you put him in there. Like, why not? But then he was missing for almost 2 years now after this big, huge, I'm a paragon, like, crisis. Like, nobody knows who I am, but here I am. And then nothing. Like, where'd you go?
So I'm excited for that. I do feel
Yeah.
like this crossover is going to finally be that time when all of these universes that are out there are going to finally kind of intersect, which they've needed to do for a while. Before we move on, I did want to talk about a couple more things in regards to Stargirl, because part of what we had seen in the last episode was that the original Justice Society fought Eclipso and defeated him.
Yeah.
Right? But as we had found out, the Shade had told them the secret essentially was that they needed to kill the host.
Mm-hmm.
If they killed the host, then Eclipso would return to the diamond, and then they could contain him. And as we, at least from what they've what they showed, that's what they did. Is that the JSA has always had sort of a no kill policy, but for the sake of defeating Eclipso, they commit murder, right?
They do.
They kill an innocent person, and as a result, that really becomes the fracture that makes the team, split up.
Yeah, I mean, makes me wonder though, because Star Labs could just put him in one of those cells, and he would just be like, "Oh, I can't get out of this thing," and boom.
I think that there are a couple questions. First of all, right now, does Eclipso even have a host?
I don't think he does. I think he's just his true form, and then he does his little visions. That I don't think he has a host. I don't think he needs one. Because without one, he's unstoppable.
Yeah. So if we know the only way to stop, or at least if we think the only way to stop him is to kill the host, and he has no host, then clearly, they're in a really tight spot. I think the other issue in the whole thing is, we're dealing with. You saw the episode where Beth and the goggles, right? That
it's like Corey is saying, like, Beth beat Eclipso's spell with sheer will. And what is the green? What's the Green Lantern? Red is hate, blue is hope, pink is love, and green is will.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to mention that too earlier. The goggles allow her, or whoever has them, to see through the visions from Eclipso.
Right. So we know that if somebody is really focused with their will, that they're able to kind of fight back, so to speak, against Eclipso. We know that her goggles allow her to see through Eclipso's illusions. I do think that this really is going to be the place where they introduced Jade as the new Green Lantern. This really would be her opportunity to help fight Eclipso, maybe to create a cage for him that Eclipso wouldn't be able to escape out of will.
Or she could make another Eclipso from the ring to make Eclipso think he was dying, and then he would actually die.
I don't know, but I do think that probably is the direction they're going to take. The other thing you've noticed is that the Cosmic Staff, right?
You got hurt.
The Cosmic Staff people touch the staff, and that also seems to break the illusion as well, right?
I love how Eclipso hurt the staff, but then it had to heal. And it's like, oh, okay. But then, I think it's the magic in it or whatever. It does break the spell. It's the only thing that's hurt Eclipso so far.
Yeah.
Other than the goggles, but
I think there's a real, there's a real symbolism, right? That Eclipso is the epitome of darkness, right?
Mhm.
And the staff is really the epitome of optimism and hope. So
Yeah, for sure. And then another Stargirl little bit before we transition over to
Yeah.
Titans was the fact that we've recently spoken to someone who's going to be coming on our show next month. And I feel terrible now that I forgot his name. I'm not good with names. I forget my own mom's name if I didn't look it up. Okay, that's a little bit of a joke, but I don't know her phone number. But yeah, he's coming on. He's going to be playing Dr. Midnight, because we all know that he's really alive somewhere in the shadow world, I think.
Right. Well, so the guy that we're going to be speaking with, he's been voicing Dr. Midnight so far here this season.
This season, yes.
He's going to be, playing the actual character for season 3.
We asked him if he was the voice the whole time, and he was not the voice of Chuck from season 1, but season 2 he was, and he's also the voice of Dr. Midnight talking to Beth when he's lost and everything, and he's going to be in physical form next season, and he's going to come on the Sunday after the finale of Stargirl season 2. He's going to talk to us on the show.
You had said November 7th, right? November 7th.
I think November. I think that's the date he threw out, because I mentioned the Sunday after the finale, and I wasn't sure when the finale was going to air, and I think he threw out November 7th. I felt terrible, and I apologize to him if he ever sees this episode, but I forgot his name, or I would say it. I think it's I want to say Rick or something like that. Let's pull up the Twitter here really quick. I'm thinking
it's Alex Collins.
Alex Collins. Yes. I don't know why I could not think of. I'm terrible with names. I really am.
So what are the? I've got his information up here, but
Nice.
He's an actor from. He's been in Lovecraft Country. He was in Genius Aretha, that Aretha Franklin movie. He was in the Richard Jewell movie. He's been in Cobra Kai.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
He's been in True Detective, and so the guy's been around.
I think it's interesting too that we talked to Eric Goins last year, and he had a brief little moment in Cobra Kai. And then we're talking to Alex this year, and he was in Cobra Kai. I wonder, next year we're gonna talk to Luke Wilson's brother, or no, Luke Wilson. I was thinking Owen Wilson. I said Luke Wilson's brother by accident, but Luke Wilson. We're gonna talk to him next year, and he's gonna be in Cobra Kai 4 or something.
Right.
Who knows? It's one of those themes where most guests not most, just 2, but still.
It's weird though, isn't it? How some of these actors, they're all kind of connected.
Yeah, everybody from Stargirl that we've talked to or will talk to has been in Cobra Kai.
Yeah. I've seen that though before. We were talking about Heroes, and then I remember I was watching Glee. I know I'm going to get some hate for admitting that I enjoyed watching Glee, but
unsubscribe.
There were a lot of characters that had actors that had been in Heroes who also wound up being in Glee. It's just weird how a lot of those characters end up kind of popping up in other shows, and then you're like, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be in this show. You're supposed to be in Heroes. It's kind of weird how that all happens. But I think Alex Collins is going to be a really neat interview for us to do. One, because of his connection to Stargirl, also because of his connection really with Cobra Kai.
And honestly, Cobra Kai is coming out in December, I believe, or January. I think it's December. It's either December or January. So we're gonna have a double interview. We're gonna get to talk to him about Stargirl, what the plans are, what the entire plot is, and what the spoilers for the finale will be, because he'll tell us all that information, because we'll use the Matt Parkman trick on him.
Of course.
But no, you want to tell us? We'll have to do that weird squint, but no, and then we're gonna talk to him about Cobra Kai too, and I think that's great.
Yeah, that's great. I'm looking forward to it.
And see if he has any of their phone numbers, and then we can share it live. So we can have people calling the Cobra Kai cast all day. No, don't do that. No. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited for that, and hopefully soon we'll have Alex Garfin too, because I'm still waiting on that one. We're getting close, I think. There's a lot of stuff going on with Warner Brothers people, but we're still hopeful. I'm excited to hopefully get the voice of Gideon on this show. Regardless of if any of you have fallen out of love with Legends, which I'm starting to, because I'm like, okay, now that McRory is leaving, it's like now Sarah's the only one left, and even then, it's like she's not even real anymore. She's a clone. So, spoilers, everybody. Sorry. Everybody's like, we don't watch that show anymore. But no, I still like watching it, but at the same time, it's like it's not anything like what it was. I feel like they're going to end that one pretty soon. But it would still be fun to have Gideon on here, and I would have her. I would have her hide, so we're Gideon. Yes, like, can you tell us what the time is today? Yes, right now it is. No, I wouldn't do that to her. But she's actually going to be in the next season of Legends. She's going to be playing a live action Gideon because she's going to finally have a real human form.
That's cool.
But anyway, yeah. The last thing would be Titans, yeah. And I was like, I just watched it. But I did. That was on Thursday, I believe it came out. And it's such a good episode. I thought it was a finale. I really did. I didn't know how many episodes they were supposed to have. But as that show was progressing towards the end, I'm like, no. And then it's like, there's another one after this. Yay. Because it could have been a finale.
It really could have. It really could have. I think that I really find that the return of Rachel, Raven, and Donna, Wonder Girl, right? Those two characters returning, I think they've really added something that we've been missing.
Mm-hmm.
Partly because they're both rather, overpowered. Had they been there the entire time, the argument probably could be made that they would have, solved Gotham's problems in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, everybody, right? In the group, same thing we were just talking about. I saw a specific comment saying, like, why didn't Superboy just go in there? Like, Dick is such a dick. Like, nobody said that, but I thought that would be funny to say because I'm immature. Right. But, like, if Superboy would have went straight in and stopped Red Hood, then, like, there would have been no storyline. There would have been no progression. There would have been nothing. So, of course, and they were complaining that he's not super enough, that he's too, like, computer techie, but it's like, you got to show that Lex side. You have to.
I think that it's unfortunate that they have not given Superboy or Beast Boy really enough to do. They really have, like, to turn Superboy into tech support is a waste of his potential, right? And I understand that you can't have him go, full on Super Saiyan every single episode, but
right.
he really deserves. Really, the only action that he's gotten so far has been with Blackfire.
Yeah,
I
mean, they broke the bed, so
yeah. He really needs a moment, and really deserves more than a moment. I still thought it was pretty dirty, though. That
in the bed, yeah, it was.
It was quite. Hope they washed those sheets. Yeah. But no, it really more what Dick did, giving kryptonite both to Connor and to Crypto.
The dog too, because it was like, even though he's Kryptonian, he's still a dog,
right?
And it's like, you can't do that to a dog.
And I thought it was really, to me, well, it was definitely in line with something that Dick would do. It was foolish, right? The idea that you're gonna walk into a fight with Red Hood by yourself, right? When you have Superboy who could at least back you up. we did end up getting the fight that we'd been waiting for, though, right? We were
Oh
we were
my
waiting
gosh.
for a chance for him for Red Hood and for Nightwing to finally be able to, kick the crap out of each other.
And as Corey points out, Red Hood's helmet flew off way too easily. And once again, head covering. Why does Nightwing not have head and neck protection? Is it bad Goku dying from the flu? Is it as bad as it was? I mean, kind of. It's like, why do you not think of that? Like, you got this little thing over your eyes. It's like everybody knows who you are. That's not going to hide your identity. But then it's like, put a helmet on, man.
The crazy part is that the rest of his suit is bulletproof.
Yeah.
Right? Except for his head. You might need that.
It's the most important. Maybe not, like the heart would probably be like a more instant death, but like
right. But why still, why not have something that would protect his head?
Or at least have like a Dracula thing in the back where like it goes above your head.
Right.
Where you can't get shot from behind, at least. You could see it coming.
Or some type of technology where it would automatically, give him protection.
Like a force field or something. I don't know.
I know that Corey had brought that up previously about, his head is obviously vulnerable. If you were looking for a weakness, it's right there.
We have to prove Corey's psychic ability once again, because I literally said like a force field, and boom, even a force field thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've already identified that Corey and I have a telepathic link, right? As crazy as it is.
Corey has read my mind twice today. Or maybe not today, but in a message earlier, we were talking about, because he produces these little clips for us. If you've been watching on YouTube, we've been sharing the Jordan Elsass clips from a while back. And we were talking about something, and he was like, which video do you want to like maybe put out next for clips? And I can't remember exactly which one we talked about, but I was thinking maybe this one or this one. And he suggested those exact ones. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, and then this today, it's like, he's the brain man.
Yeah.
He's the brain man. But
he's not Siler.
I hope he doesn't just go like this and my head falls off. He's like, I'm just reading your brain, and flips the pages.
So, Stephen, though, you have to understand that the way that our sibling telepathy works, it's one way, right? Corey doesn't send me messages. I'm the one that sends messages to him. So if you're getting messages from Corey, you're really getting messages from me to Corey and from Corey to you. So really, you're getting messages from me.
Okay, so Corey is really just like middle management, kind of like Noah Bennett. He's really
sort of the puppet. Yes.
Yeah, he's a puppet, and you're the puppet master. You're like the guy, like you're Eric Doyle from Heroes. You're just like, yeah.
I actually, what's scary is I actually have a pretty good likeness.
But yeah, that's a good Halloween costume. Just be Eric Doyle, just like, and then you could just go like this, and then Corey would be like, and you just walk behind him, and then make him do like arm things, and I don't know.
Yeah,
that's some commitment there.
So just to clarify, I've never been able to make my brother do anything I tell him to do, but as far as me having a thought and the word coming out of his mouth, it's happened probably 1,000 times growing up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
But and we've proven it to be fact here a couple of times. What about like, oh gosh, when we see Dick actually get shot? I assumed he got killed because I know you were talking about how it kind of just grazed his neck. But it seemed like there was a lot of blood coming out of his neck. Maybe it was just me. Maybe it was slow motion. It just looked like a lot of blood. But I assumed he was dead or was about to die. Or
I think if the bullet didn't kill him, getting, the beat down by a street full of angry Gothamites probably would do it. It's very convenient that Beast Boy and Raven have found that Lazarus pit.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is going to be that that Nightwing is going to end up in that Lazarus pit.
I think so. I really do. And I think that's great that they're showing the Lazarus Pit. It makes me wonder, though, if anybody else is going to die. And what happened to Bruce? Like, he came back, he tried to kill himself, and then came back. I think maybe Bruce does it, like, but they're not going to show it, obviously, because the Joker character can't be seen for some reason on television. But I'm thinking, he killed the Joker, and it got all like twisted in his head. It's like, oh my God, I'm Batman, but I killed someone, and I'm gonna kill myself now. Maybe he brings him back with the Lazarus Pit, and the Joker comes back. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, how are you here? But I really like the Lazarus Pit stuff. People complain about it. It's like, oh, that's such lazy writing. I'm like, it's awesome. I don't know. I love like resurrection in like demons and spirits and stuff like that in these shows, because it's like stuff you don't really see a lot of. That's why I love the episode where you see Hank and Tim and Donna, like they're all dead, but yet they're trying to become not dead anymore, and they're like crossing the like. I loved all that. I don't know. It's great.
Yeah, it was that entire part was fantastic. I really like Donna. I think Donna is fantastic, and while their version of Amazons is certainly different than the cinematic version of Amazons, there's a real cultured quality to them.
Mm-hmm.
Donna had said in the last episode that I've spent my entire life learning to lead 5 against 50 or 50 against 500. And so Donna really stepping into her role as leader. I think that's great. I think we've also seen Raven be far more powerful and in control, which is something we've been waiting for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool that she's actually learning to kind of like harness her powers and really know when to use them and be more accurate with them and understand them. And Corey says that like that was
arterial spray.
I was trying to laugh. I was thinking about it. Like, Garth did just find the Lazarus Pit. So yeah. Wait, I did that one again. Oh wait, no, it's a new comment. I didn't see that one yet. I accidentally clicked it though. Can someone explain how they are Amazon and on island in the Mediterranean? I mean, I don't know. I can't explain it.
Are you? I mean, I think if you're confusing the Amazon in South America,
maybe
with the tribe of essentially, Greek Mediterranean warriors, that are two completely different things.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that might be the case, because I did the same thing when I first saw. I was like, "What? This isn't Amazon." And I thought they were supposed to be giant too for some reason. Like when before I even saw the Wonder Woman movies, I was like, "Isn't she supposed to be like huge and like really humongous?" I don't know. I don't know why I thought the Amazon women were supposed to be like 10 times the size of human women or regular women. Like, I don't know. I confused a lot of things because I watch one thing and think about it, and I think there was an episode of like Futurama once that they went to this like Amazonian planet or something, and these women were like 10 feet tall or something.
I mean, I think that when somebody is referred to as being an Amazon, right, they are abnormally large for a typical woman, right? Not that they're freakishly huge,
no,
but imposing. Right.
Sure.
You should definitely, see an Amazon, and long before she beats the crap out of you, know that she's physically imposing. I think Donna definitely qualifies.
I think so. I mean, she's not physically huge, but she does have that presence. She carries it.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see how it ends.
I agree.
The whole season.
I think that a lot of us are waiting for Beast Boy to finally go and turn into something not Tiger, right?
It's going to be a bat. I'm calling a bat, because the whole Batman theme, Bat Family this, Bat Family that. We hate it that it's in Gotham, blah blah blah. A lot of people. Well, that's a good point. So it's like it is very Batman centered, but you see all those bats flying around Dick all the time. He's like, oh, they just follow me everywhere. Don't mind them. They're just bats, whatever. And it could be like a foreshadowing that he's going to become Batman at some point, or it could be that Beast Boy just sees a bat and's like, ah, and becomes a bat out of like by accident. Because that seems to be how it is. Like he does a new thing and it's like not intentional. He has no control over like what he becomes. It's usually a tiger.
But he really needs a moment to be able to transform into different stuff.
On purpose too, I think.
Right.
I mean, I'm expecting it to be like an accident or whatever, but I think he really does need to at least figure out how to do it once on purpose that isn't a tiger.
Yeah.
Like a shark. That'd be awesome. But if he's in the middle of the desert when it happens, he'll die. But yeah, I think it's going to be a bat for some reason. I really do. Or a flying animal, a bird of some kind.
Right. That'd be really great. So
It'd be really cool if it was a robin.
I know it's coming. But I don't know what exactly the, what ability would that give him other than flight? You really aren't going to get attacked by a robin.
No, I mean I was gonna say they could peck him or peck him. That just sounds weird. But I mean, that would have to be a woodpecker though.
Right.
And who owns a Woody Woodpecker? Is that Warner Brothers?
Is it Hanna-Barbera?
Oh, is it Hanna-Barbera? Does it like somebody own them now or something?
Probably.
I was saying if there was some kind of connection, if you could get from Woody Woodpecker to DC and they're connected, then it'd be so cool for him to turn into Woody the Woodpecker. But he'd be green, but still, he does a laugh as him, and he like pecks something. I don't know.
Give it time. I think the one character we haven't talked about yet has been Starfire.
Yeah, and that's different. And it makes sense, kind of, because she was always a little different. And then they're like, oh wait, that wasn't my power. My parents stole it from my sister and gave it to me.
Well, and so they had taken Blackfire's ability from her and given it to Starfire, but she had her own natural given abilities,
right?
And so I think that it's going to be interesting seeing, Blackfire fully powered and Starfire apparently now with the ability to fly.
Yeah.
And her energy blasts being different colors. I'm curious to see how that's going to play out.
It's very interesting. And at first I have to admit, when I first saw Titans, I was like, I hate Starfire. She's so stupid. But now I've kind of grown to like the character. I mean, because she's kind of developed, and she's same thing with Rachel. We see her like she was like, oh no, darkness everywhere. I can't control it. Now she's more mature and kind of has an understanding. So all these characters are growing, except for Beast Boy. He's just like, oh man, I'm not. He'll turn into a fly or a hamster or something that's useless. Maybe
Beast Boy seems to be much like Tim. We're seeing a lot of his non-powered abilities, right? Like his use of a katana blade, his skill with hand-to-hand fighting, even him being almost like a detective in figuring things out or understanding how other members of the team function and think. We're definitely seeing some things outside the realm of his superpowers,
which is good.
But, yeah, my guess would be that it costs money to have him do the transformation.
Yeah, and
so they end up doing those non-powered things because just it costs less. My guess is that when they finally do have him transform into something, it's going to be there's going to be a big payoff for it.
So it's probably not going to be a robin or a woodpecker, or maybe even a bat. I could go with a bear. Yeah.
I think that him turning into a gorilla or an elephant, those would be pretty timely.
Oh, okay, yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah.
Corey a T-Rex.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
the only issue is he'd be like, "Rah! Come here. He couldn't reach.
I've got
but
a
then
big
again-
head and little arms.
Yeah, like, hey everybody. No, I'm just what am I doing? I'm sitting here like, but yeah, he could tail whip them though. That would be great. Just whip that tail around and then bite their faces off.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I think we're gonna have to wait and see what happens, but I'm excited about how they're gonna wrap things up. I still think that that Blackfire is meant to be sort of the secondary big bad, and they really
Yeah.
haven't let showed us just how bad she is.
No, she's not even like touched the surface yet. I don't
No,
think.
with with her powers restored, you know that she's going to use them. Here's my guess. My guess is they've been saving to use Connor to go and fight her.
Yeah, because
I
I mean they're playing that the same thing with when they broke the bed. They're like hee, we're teenagers, and then that relationship is going to build up to that moment where he has to sacrifice that feeling for her in order to kill her or stop her or whatever.
Yeah,
I think
so
that's
I think
great.
I think we're definitely going to see both Starfire and Connor, going up against Blackfire. That's what I'm seeing. I think they're gonna stick to letting a lot of the Bat family, uh, the less powered individuals, go up against Red Hood.
And I wonder though, could Beast Boy turn into Crypto and have Crypto's powers?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
That would
I
be
mean,
interesting.
I guess he wouldn't have the powers. He could look like Crypto and just be green without the powers.
But then he'd just be a dog.
Yeah, but he could bite some ankles really good, and like, "Hurr." And then they'd be like, "Ow! Why did you do that?" And then all of a sudden, here comes Dick hitting somebody in the head with a stick because they're distracted. It might work for robbing banks, but I don't think it'll work for fighting villains.
No, I think that what, again, Beast Boy needs, he's a legitimate hero. He's a legitimate hero. He's not anybody's sidekick, and I think that here we are in season 3. He deserves to be treated like a legitimate member of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And so I do hope that they're going to have something epic for him to turn into. Not a zebra or a peacock or like an emu or anything like that. Like, that would be weird. An ostrich, just long neck, like, I mean, ostriches, like, they could be pretty dangerous, though.
Ostriches are wicked.
He could be a hippo because they're like the most dangerous animal in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think about hippos; they're just hungry. Oh, they're fine. They just want to eat food. But no, they're not just hungry hippos. They're dangerous beasts. I think it was a hippo, maybe a rhino. I don't know. But I'm excited.
So, yeah, I think lots of good stuff to look forward to here this week.
For sure. And finishing Heels, I think you really like how that goes. Stargirl's ending soon, I think, and Superman and Lois. I don't know when they're coming back.
I'm not sure.
Sometime. I know they're filming. I guess they're back to work on season 2. I believe I believe Jordan said, wasn't he on set or like in the trailer or he was in Canada when he talked to us. So I'm just excited because like all these shows that I'm liking right now are ending, but then right around the corner, a lot of other shows that I like are starting back. So I'm gonna kind of be a little sad whenever they catch up to their normal like schedule, because we had Flash and then it normally comes back in September, and it's like, oh, it's October, not November, but in the meantime, we have these other great shows. And when it gets back, they're going to get probably back to that formula where like halfway through the season, we're going to go off on a break and let this show come in for half a season. And then that's going to go on a break and this half a season. Like, I don't like when they do that. I don't know why.
They really enjoy that.
Yeah, you got enough time on a network. You could play one show every night and not have to like break them up. And then I think that's what happened with Legends a lot. Like people forgot it existed. And then when it came back like a year or two ago, everybody's like, you kind of lost interest in it. I think being away for like 2 years kind of did that.
I think that what made it difficult for me with Legends is they changed a lot of the characters.
Yeah.
Right. So you had a team that I mean, you know, season 3's team I loved. I think they were like the epitome of the Legends. They were a force to be reckoned with. They could have fun, but they were still serious superheroes. And then they started changing out team members or people coming back, but as really different people.
Yeah, and it was Matt Ryan this season. This next one, he's not John Constantine anymore. He's going to be a completely different character.
Yeah. But I understand that for some people they really like it, so I'm not going to bash it too hard.
I enjoy it somewhat, depending on the character and the situation, but they do it a lot. And like with the Zari character, they had her this season like as the new one, and she's like, oh, Instagram, la 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 la, like all kind of like, you know, like a teenage girl or something. And then that is who dated John Constantine. It's like, really? Like that doesn't make any sense. And then Nate's all like, I'm sad that my Zari's gone and stuck in a totem. So they traded off for a while. And then the other one came back out and got to hang out with him. And it's like, why don't you just merge them and have the one girl play like one character instead of playing two different characters? It is confusing.
Yeah.
And they're bringing back Leonard Snart from what I've read.
Oh, they are.
A version of him at least.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, with the Legends being Legends, they can go through time, and it's not total bullshit. So they get to actually mess with time, and they got to be careful. Too many butterflies.
Yeah.
But time is great because even on this new Earth Prime, that Leonard Snart could be pulled from any time before he died. So, and who knows? Maybe in this new Earth Prime, he's not dead. We haven't heard about him since Crisis, so he could be alive.
Yeah. We know a lot of people got brought back.
Yeah. I did. I got dusted by Thanos, and then I got brought back in Crisis. And all the times you saw me in between the Thanos thing and the Crisis thing was just a variant from Disney. So confusing. Too many butterflies.
It really is. It really is. I think this is probably as good a time as any to put our Twitter contact information out.
We go. Let's see. I did want to share. Where's it at? Where's the comments? Oh, there they are. I clicked away from the comment box and then found it again. And this is going to look really weird if you watch it back, but it's a link I wanted to share last week, and we did not have a show last week, so I posted it this week. If it ever posts, it's like spinning like it's going to go. Okay. Now, if you're watching this live, you can click that link, especially the Facebook one. It's Scott Schaffo who is selling like some Clerks memorabilia. I'm not going to expect everybody to memorize the question mark FBCLID equals whatever. But you can go to scottschaffo.com/angels, and then you can find this information from that. He's selling off some Chuli's gum, which was featured in Clerks 3 coming up, and some other memorabilia from Clerks and pictures and things, and all those proceeds go to the I don't know exactly what they do, but it's an animal charity, so I think it's really cool. And I asked him if I could share it on the show. He's like, absolutely. Shared it in the group and everything, but wanted to throw that out there before I forgot.
Yeah, that's great.
And our Twitter handles, I still need to get that updated graphic to Corey, and I think I did send it to him. I don't remember. I've been talking with him back and forth about our little YouTube clips, and I think that's going over pretty well. I really am enjoying, just as a fan, going back and watching those clips of Jordan, because it's so much fun. I forgot like how great he is. Definitely want to get him on the show again. But our Twitters, I'm going to go ahead and put that out, is at CJKirk1979, but that's him over there. Wait, there, not me. I'm pointing to my left to point to my right. So weird. And then I'm at Steven_Colton. And I don't know why, but like I was talking to my mom about this show, and she was like, "But you're on the left and Chris is on the right," because I showed her the new logo, and she's like, "That's backwards from the way I see you on the camera." I'm like, "Everybody sees me and him on the camera the same way."
You know,
But
I think that there's no way we're going to do this where we're going to make everybody happy. When
No.
we had it reversed, then you were on the West Coast and I was on the East Coast.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing else I could do is take the world out of it and just have like a different design. But from when I first came up with the idea for the show, like the Earth is the hard place, and I was like, I like that idea. So like,
Is there a
world
way that you could move my picture over to the left and your picture over? I mean, as far as
I don't know
for the podcast, right? Because you're always on the left side, and I'm always on the right.
Well, that's not good there.
No. I don't want to be tiny.
I mean, we could do like a solo thing and then click over solo. That's a lot of clicks.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just odd that you always show up on the left side, and I always show up on the right side.
I think it might be an order thing to where like I start the stream or whatever, so I'm like going to be here, and the next person slides in, and the next person slides in. It might be something like that.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I don't know if there's a way to change it, but at least our names are in appropriate places.
I'll be honest and say I really don't care that much.
I don't either.
I just thought that was interesting.
It is interesting, and my mom pointed that out, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, I can't switch it. And I was like, I guess I could go. I told her I was like, I could go to his house, and he can come to my house, and we could do the show on opposite ends, and then like that'd be a lot of trouble for a podcast. But I mean, if we're gonna be doing all that traveling, we should just like go in the same room and take the split out of it.
Right.
Just, like,
I mean, Steven, you're only a mere 2,500 miles away.
Yeah, it's not that far. It's like
like
a 3-day drive. It's nothing. We're gonna have the graphic at some point with the song. I think Corey made one for us, but I don't think I have it put in here yet. But Facebook.com/Between the Pot and Hard Place, at Pot and Hard Place on Twitter, and but just Between the Pot and a Hard Place on YouTube. And also don't forget to follow Mark Guggenheim at MGGU. I can't spell it out loud. I'm terrible with names and spellings.
This is not a spelling bee.
No, I thought I was gonna be like really, really cool and just spell it out loud. Like, you guys, look how great I am, and I'm fooling myself. So we're just gonna paste it here in the comments. So you can all go follow Mark at M Guggenheim. I'm like, I know his name. I know how to spell his name when I type it, but when I'm trying to say it out loud, I'm like MQ4 blue X.
Yeah.
Like,
When you get called out on the spot.
Yeah. I don't like that. And I called myself out. So but yeah. Follow Mark and tell him that he is awesome and we made you. Not made you. That makes it sound like you don't want to follow him. Just follow
that we
Mark.
sent you. Yeah.
Tell him we sent you. Don't tell him that we were forced or anything. Keep that part a secret. But yeah, it's been fun and I'm excited for next week.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
We'll have a lot more to talk about, and hopefully we can get things going with some of those guests we got lined up, and that's going to be exciting. We're gonna have the Ghost of John Lennon next week. I mean, it's Halloween. I'm amazed that his agent got him. Sorry, that's usually the part of the show where I just ramble on, but it's been fun, and we'll talk next week. And everybody, thanks for watching and all that. So have a good week.
All right, take care.
See ya.